Hello, everybody. This is Dominic with Last Word on Gaming, and I am super excited to present the first video cosplay interview for Last Word on Gaming. We are going to bring on Rich here in a minute, and he was part of a cosplay article about Uncharted that I did earlier this year, and that article is linked below. It's a great place to start before you watch the rest of this interview. You can read about his awesome Nathan Drake costume and how it all came together. So without further ado, let's bring Rich on. All right, Last Word on Gaming. We are here with Rich, otherwise known as Dastadd Cowboyzz on Instagram. How you doing today, my friend?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we're super excited to have you back. As I mentioned in the interview, or excuse me, in the earlier portion of this video, Rich was actually part of an Uncharted cosplay article, which we'll get more into that in a little bit. But if you haven't had a chance to check that out, it's going to be linked in this video. So make sure you start there before you check out the rest of this interview. So let's just roll right into it, Rich. So, obviously we're going to get a lot into costuming and cosplay later, but let's kind of take a step back. Where did your interest in gaming start? Were there any specific games or consoles that really grabbed you at an early age?
Oh, I'm a younger sibling, so I was always second player. So whatever my older sibling did kind of went, and they always were interested in video games. We started with our dad's PS1 actually, the Italian Job video game. That was our starting point. That was fun. And then I guess growing up, got the Nintendo Wii, got the DS's, and super into all the Mario stuff. So as soon as my sibling was old enough to do all the fighting games and all that stuff, I was kind of introduced. So Smash Bros, and then into the bigger, better stuff for adults more.
Smash Bros with siblings, that must have been some fun times, and definitely some good stories out of that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Always lost. I was the younger sibling. I had to lose, whether I liked it or not.
Didn't have a choice in the matter, huh?
No.
Awesome. So you started with the PS1 and then you moved into the Nintendo systems. How did you kind of venture into some of the more single player action oriented stuff?
It was definitely in more recent years, as soon as Red Dead 2 came out, we already had an Xbox 360 since for a while growing up, and then we kind of stayed off getting any big consoles because we just didn't really have the money, and there wasn't really multiplayer for siblings, so we kind of stepped back. And then Red Dead 2 came out, and my sibling watched gamers play it on YouTube and just thought, yeah, that is something we really would want to do and want to play. So yeah, it came out in the October of 2018, and literally that Christmas they went all out and bought me a PS4 with Red Dead, and we played that solidly, and that really got us back into proper gaming again, proper single player and online gaming and all of that. That was good. It was all Red Dead.
Hey, if you're going to jump back into a single player action oriented game, you can't get much better than Red Dead 2.
Definitely.
Awesome. So what were kind of some of the games? I mean, obviously Red Dead was a big one for you. What were some of the kind of games, or some of the series that really hooked you and got you further into the gaming hobby?
Uncharted, definitely Uncharted. As you can imagine, that definitely got us through quarantine. My older sibling again made me play Last of Us 1 in summer 2020. They had known it since it came out back in 2013. I'd never played it, never watched anyone play it. So they made me do that. And as soon as, you get a Naughty Dog game, it's just more, you want more of it. So I did that. Last of Us, Uncharted, Detroit Become Human, slightly different vein, but definitely one of my favorite games. Beautiful game again. Played that just after we finished Red Dead, actually. It was Detroit and Red Dead, and we both played that constantly throughout 2019, 2020, and then yeah, branched into more action adventure with Uncharted and Last of Us. Last of Us 2 came out in the 2020 summer. Got that as soon as it came out, played through all of that. Just definitely Naughty Dog, incredible games, incredible replay value.
Yeah, I can't argue with you on that. So the first PS4 game I played, because so I didn't have the PS3, so I kind of missed the original Last of Us, you know, the hype and everything around that game. And I hadn't even seen a whole lot of the gameplay of it. And in retrospect, I'm really glad, because when I played it for the first time on the PS4, I mean that story, I could not put it down. I needed to see how it was going to end, you know. So I've always been a Naughty Dog fan. I grew up with the Jak and Daxter games on the PS2.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So those were like a big early influence for me. So yeah, you can't go wrong with Naughty Dog. And then of course Uncharted, which I know we're going to get into. That'll be a good section of this interview, is it'll be talking about Uncharted and how you and I originally wound up connecting. So
definitely, yeah.
That's awesome. You know, any specific Uncharted, you know, kind of favorite moments? I know you got 4 games plus the Lost Legacy on there, and there's so many good Nathan Drake moments in there. But you know, any specific favorites?
Well, I really, really loved Uncharted 4 as a whole. As that got to be up there for me. I really loved how they wrote Rafe as a villain. I really liked that. He seemed so human, so I like a lot of his bits. I like the bit in Madagascar with Sully and Nate, and they go underground and they piece together all the different sigils, and Nate calls Sam. He's like, "Hey, have you got the pictures?" And Rafe's like, "Yeah, I got them." Great moment. Both of them, both the actors in that played their characters so well. With the, "Oh, you hacked our phones, you stole my cross, so we're even now," kind of thing. That's good. The back and forth in Uncharted.
They're so well scripted. All of them are just so well scripted and well acted, which I think is why they decided it would be a good, you know, video game movie. Is probably had a big piece of that. Did you get a chance to see the movie?
No, I haven't yet. I'm still umming and ahhing about it, but I do want to watch it when it comes on like main TV and stuff. I will definitely sit down and watch that. I'm very torn about it. Again, like I mentioned in the article, it'd be weird seeing anyone else play Nathan Drake, but I don't think that takes away from the movie as a whole. I think just viewing it as a separate piece of media maybe would be better. And all my friends have seen it, and they've all said like good reviews about it. So that'll be cool. I'm excited to see it when it comes out again.
I think you'll enjoy how they, you know, the angle that they took with it. And like you said, if you look at it through the lens of an individual piece of media and not just an offshoot of a video game, I think you'll enjoy it. It is weird seeing Nathan Drake played by somebody else, but I have to say, I thought Tom Holland did it justice. I won't spoil it for you, of course, but there's just a lot of nods to the game. And the script was definitely that very playful back and forth between Nate and Sully. It definitely captured that. So I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it now.
So, all right. So let's, you know, Uncharted, this is a perfect segue, because the way we first connected, like we've mentioned a couple of times, is I interviewed you about your Nathan Drake cosplay in the article that I mentioned earlier. Again, that's linked below. Go check it out. But so let's kind of start from the beginning of, you know, okay, you know, you grew up with siblings, you have the kind of Nintendo type games, you transition into the more your action games, your Red Deads, your Uncharted's, your Last of Us's. How did the cosplay hobby come about for you?
Been cosplaying for a while, since about 2014, probably. But like, as kids growing up, both our parents were super into just like kind of messing about and having fun with movie characters that you liked and stuff like that. We did the 4 of us, my older sibling, my parents, and I did this joking kind of movie calendar for our family. So we dress up as famous movie characters for each month. And so we've always done that and always had a connection to cosplay and popular media and things like that. So as soon as our favorite characters became video game characters. So like anything Red Dead especially, it was like, you know, I love that aesthetic, the cowboy aesthetic. I mean, it's my username,
Right.
you know, it's there. Just wanted to be involved in that. The locations, again, I mentioned with Uncharted, the locations to do shoots, it kind of gives you a reason to go out and find these amazing places and climb that mountain just to get a picture, you know, just for the fun of it. But yeah, it's definitely helped, obviously, with confidence and stuff, because you get to channel yourself through that character. And it's like, oh, well, Nathan Drake does this. That kind of pushes you to do it yourself and all of that. I definitely think that's a really positive point of cosplay and showing your love for the characters.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. And I mean, looking through your Instagram, which is also linked below, you've found some awesome locations to do your Nathan Drake shots. Not sure exactly where they are, but they definitely feel like they were ripped out of one of the desert scenes from the video game.
Yeah, that was cool, especially from being in England. We don't really have, well, first we don't really have that many good weather days to get these cool shots, but yeah, it's all picking and choosing exact places and angles and stuff to try and find it. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I get that. Like I said, I live in the Midwest, so I understand about weather can definitely make or break shoots. But I don't know how you found that desert location, but it looks like it was definitely ripped out of the video game. So, you kind of mentioned, you know, you started the costuming hobby very early. It was kind of a family thing. What were some of the first cosplay characters that you really wanted to make and that you were able to bring to life?
Red Dead was definitely, I do Arthur Morgan. My sibling does John Marston. They've been in the works for a very long time. Yeah, like embarrassingly bad photos from the start, I can promise you that. Very funny. But yeah, definitely that's something we've been working on since 2018. We did John and Arthur, wanted to get into things like weathering your cosplays and stuff. The Resident Evil series, I do Chris Redfield, sibling does Leon S. Kennedy. And that's something we wanted to get pretty accurate because our uncle and aunt used to play it back in the 90s, back when it came out. So it's something we could share. Again, it's a family thing. We were like, okay, how do we get this as accurate as possible to the video games? Bearing in mind, the graphics weren't that good to get. You know, exactly. You know, 1998 game. It's not going to be something you can just 3D print or something. You know. But yeah, no, definitely want to. Accuracy is very big on our part, and doing bigger costumes in the way like a military vibe costume. We'd want it to look how we think it would look in real life, as opposed to a printout copy of it. If that makes any sense. But yeah.
No, I get what you're saying, and yeah, that's such a good point you bring up. Like, I love the Resident Evil games, and those, the first three, the first few games that came out on the PS1. Like you said, it's all just very pixelated, and you're trying to figure out exactly what are they wearing and what does it look like. So how obviously modern day those have been remade and updated. So I'm guessing that must have made it a little bit easier on you guys. Was you had the more HD versions to pull details from?
Definitely. Well, it worked really great for Leon, because the remaster of Resident Evil 2 in 2019, that's incredible graphics, incredible gameplay. You can move the camera around a lot. It's quite easy to get reference pictures. Chris was slightly harder because I do Resident Evil 1. Chris is a main cosplay, and that remaster was in 2015, which is still remarkably better quality graphics than the original, but it's still not the 2019 Resident Evil Capcom can do now. So it was like we kind of had to mix and match a bit. We actually used Dead by Daylight a lot. I know the graphics in that isn't like, it's not realism, but it gave us camera angles and it gave us texture for what we think like his green vest would look like and what it says on the back and all of that.
That's a really good point, Dead by Daylight, because I was going to say that the remake of 1, it's still a fixed camera angle. Like you said, you don't have, it's not like with the remake of 2, you can't just move the thumbstick around and see, from all angles for what the costume looks like. So that's, Dead by Daylight, that's a good resource. I didn't even think about that. So that's awesome. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil games. So that's, the Chris and Leon, they're such iconic looks.
Yeah, definitely.
So that must have been fun to recreate.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we've now had shoots with our Ada Wong cosplayer who, does the again remastered version of her outfit and everything, and it can be so accurate to the remaster now because the graphics were so realistic in comparison and all of that. It's the same with Uncharted 4, I think. The graphics are this step up, like this massive step up from quality and realism and everything from the third one even. And with clothes and texture and then going into cosplay with that, it's makes our job a lot easier because it's like, oh, okay, no, I know what that looks like in real life and I know how to replicate that now, kind of thing.
Definitely. And that's something that, people that don't cosplay, I think that can kind of be lost, is just how much time before you even pick up a piece of foam, a piece of fabric, a sewing needle, a hot glue gun, whatever there's so much prep and research that goes into it before you even pick up these materials. So I'm glad you're highlighting that, because I think that's such an important part of the process that people that aren't actively, making or, aren't actively cosplayers, it may be kind of lost. So I know you had mentioned earlier, weathering, and for some of your Red Dead costumes, which is another, it totally can change the look of everything. Yeah. So what are some of the weathering techniques you've used and found success with?
We're definitely super new to this because we're testing it out. So my word may not be the best, but definitely with, I said Red Dead cosplay, Dead by Daylight cosplay, Left 4 Dead 2 we've done recently. We got that, and everything's just got like dirt and scuffed up and all of that. Originally it can be as simple as like just getting some makeup, like eyeshadow or powder or something that's just off-white, and just kind of with a brush and just flicking it on or painting it on the fabric, and it will stay as long as you don't then need to wash it a lot, fake blood, I think we used food dye a bit with that, obviously, as long as it's not sticky, as long as you can put a coat of something over it. Again, I don't do the technical stuff, my sibling is the artist, the technical stuff, but there's a layer of sealant on top of the food dye stuff, or buying fake blood from literally a supermarket. Just like we got that around Halloween because Halloween costumes, and we just spray it onto the fabric, and as long as you're then not putting it in the washing machine, you're kind of good to go. Yeah, exactly. Just like chuck it in, it's like, oh, it's gone now. But with the beauty of ones like Red Dead and Dead by Daylight is that it can be as messy as you want. It doesn't have an exact, okay, well now there's a pattern here and a pattern here. It's just like scuffed up. Yeah.
That's a good point, because Red Dead, as you play through the campaign and change things, everything can look so differently. You get into more fights, whatever happens. So that's a good point, is you have that little bit more of creative wiggle room to do things and to weather it. So we've talked about Uncharted, we've talked about Resident Evil, we've talked about Red Dead. What are some other gaming franchises you've cosplayed, or are those kind of your main three?
One of mine and my siblings' absolute favorite games, just kind of ever now. A Way Out by Hazelight Studios, incredible. As I said, growing up, couch co-op was a huge thing for us. Super Smash Brothers Brawl, any Mario game, it was all couch co-op. Portal, love that series. And yeah, so as soon as we heard of A Way Out, I think we heard of it back in 2020, so a couple of years late, but you know, as soon as we heard of it, we got our hands on it and replayed that game about 20-ish times all the way through. It's a very short campaign, but it's a brilliant game, and it's a brilliant the mechanics of it are just really nice, and they're very simple, and you know what you're doing. You know, it's a co-op game from a small studio. You're not expecting to get the things like Uncharted has or Last of Us has with all the small Easter eggs and stuff. You're not expecting that. It is what it is. And I think that's the beauty of it, really. So yeah, as soon as we played that, we back in 2020 summer, I think, we cosplayed Vincent and Leo as soon as we could.
That's awesome.
Just because like no one does it. No one cosplays them. Hardly anyone knows them. But you know, if you know them, you know them. There's no like if and but there. Equally, they're very distinctive face-wise, both of them. So it's not like we wouldn't go to a convention as them, really. And you know, you're not expecting to have a cosplay group. There's not many other characters in A Way Out to cosplay except for Vincent and Leo. But they're really fun. They've got a lot of outfits to do. You know, the prison outfits are our favorites. They're just easy. And again, there's something that if you want to scuff them up a bit, you can. You know, you don't want to just have like a bright white shirt. But equally, it's not going to have like blood splatters. It's just going to be a bit, you know, a bit dirty.
Totally, yeah. It's not something like a Resident Evil where you can do a whole group and have, you know, 20 different characters. That the franchise is so, you know, vast, and there's so many characters you can pull from the spin-offs or from like the movies. You know, there's so many different ways you can go with it. But it's cool to see that, you know, all the way down the spectrum from something like that all the way up to like a Resident Evil and then kind of like an Uncharted in between.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, so what do you have in the works right now, cosplay wise? Anything you can share?
We've again, going back to Dead by Daylight, so many cosplay opportunities there. Working on doing a couple of the killers now, so I don't know, at some point I'll do a Michael Myers, easy, you know. Be cool to do the blood up on the jumpsuit, the mask, you know, dirty that up. The Trapper from Dead by Daylight, that's definitely a project that's in the works. I'm trying to get the mask right now and figure out how to do all the SFX on the arms, because he's got a lot of cuts and scars, and the it's got like metal rods stuck in his shoulders, so that's going to be a big project. But it's definitely something me and my sibling are both excited to work on, because it's something bloodied up, it's something dirty, right. Something you can have leeway with, it's something you can take a lot of creative liberty on, and just kind of have fun with it, and people know who you are with just the mask, basically. It's the same with Scream, you know, put on the Scream mask, put on a black hood, and you're kind of set.
Yeah, people immediately recognize it. True. That's awesome. And so do you have any kind of like dream cosplays that may, you know, down the line may take a little while to put together, but you one day you definitely want to have that one and have it done?
Where to start?
Right.
With Uncharted, definitely in Uncharted 2, Nate, he falls out of the train, and he's in the Himalayas, and he's in the snow thing, and when Tenzin finds him and he patches him up and stuff, I'd really like to do something to do with that, with the big winter coat, and do a proper bloody bandage around him, a proper like wound on his side. I think that would be a really interesting shoot as well, to then go to a place where it's really snowy and you can do the blood on the snow. And again, I like all the gore stuff. It's fun to do. It's a fun shoot, and it's the aesthetics of it really work for me personally. I think it's cool. You know, you don't have to go and try and look your best. You know, Nate's absolutely gone by that point. He's lost all blood. He's like, oh, that's a lot of blood. Oh, that's a lot of my blood. Oh no. And it's like, you know, that's cool. He's not looking about how he looks. He's just, you know, it's a fun, not self-conscious thing to do, I think.
That game, oh man, I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times now, but that game just has so much good dialogue, and it's a lot of blood. Oh, that's my blood. So I can see there's a lot of creative ways you could do that, and how he kind of, the different phases of him through the 4 games. So there's a lot of different, I can definitely see there's a lot of different looks and a lot of different takes you could pull from that. So
yeah.
Anything else on your list?
Yeah, as I said, we've just done a Left 4 Dead cosplay, so I definitely want to get more on that, because I do Nick, and he's a white suit. And it's like, you know, I've done a basic kind of scuff it up just so it's not bright white, perfectly clean, but I definitely want to do something more in depth with that. It'd be cool to get a bigger group, maybe, even with like Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead 1 or any of that. And again, it's mainly shoots and certain locations as opposed to exact bigger cosplays. But yeah, Resident Evil 8, Chris, I would like to work with someone who does Ethan Winters and do I don't know, do the SFX of the bandage hand and the sewn on the wrist and all of his infected kind of looks. It would be cool to do that.
That wasn't, I'll try not to get into too many spoilers in case there's anybody that hasn't played it yet, but that, you know, I liked Resident Evil 7, which I know a lot of people were, you know, some people loved it, some people didn't.
Yeah.
I loved how 8 built on that and took it to the extreme.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was cool. Definitely answered a lot of unanswered questions, I think. Both are good games. I personally preferred 8, but again, I like how it was a continuation of the storyline. I think that was really interesting, and I think it was necessary as well. So
I agree, and I'm really curious to see what they do next, whether it's a continuation of what we saw in 7 and 8, or if it's, you know, if it's a reboot, another new character, or if they bring back, you know, some of the legacy characters for, you know, your main 4, your Chris, Leon, Claire, and Jill. I'm curious to see if they, you know, bring it back to those core 4 and give them like another game, another story, or if we get the continuation of 7 and 8, or if we get something totally new. There's so many different ways they can go.
Definitely, I'd like to see more Leon, personally, as a big Leon fan. I think there's a lot for his storyline. Again, with battling with him being like, do I want to retire? I can't do this anymore, and all of that. I think definitely even Chris dragging him back into the scene could be quite a funny and interesting plot line to go with. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah, I'm excited to see where that franchise goes next, and I'm excited to see what you come up with next. You know, I hope you get to do the Nate shoot in the snow, because if you, like you said, that aesthetic would be something really cool to pull from the game.
Definitely. Yeah, that's, fingers crossed, that'll be something on the near horizon, I hope.
I hope so too. So, you know, like I said earlier, I have your Instagram linked below. Make sure if you're watching this, go follow it, keep track of his progress. You may be seeing something cool sooner rather than later.
Hopefully, yeah. The plan is.
The plan is. So, hey, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for coming back on the site. This is, like I said in the intro, this is the first video, hopefully the first of many video cosplay interviews that we're going to be doing here at Last Word on Gaming. So, Rich, I can't thank you enough for your time. It's been awesome speaking with you. Anytime I could talk about Resident Evil and Uncharted in the same video, same setting, is a good day for me. So it's been great having you on.
Yeah, the feeling's mutual, man. Thank you so much for having me again. It's been great fun.
So, all right. Well, like I said, make sure you check out the Uncharted article that Rich was previously a part of and his Instagram, which are linked below. And if you want to see more of this content, I also have a link below with all of the cosplay articles that we have done on Last Word on Gaming. Make sure to leave a like and a subscribe, but thank you for tuning in and we will see you very soon. All right. Thank you again to Rich for taking time to talk to us today. Make sure you stay tuned to Last Word on Gaming for all of your latest news, reviews, industry analysis, and opinions. Follow us on all of our social channels and our Discord channel, which is linked below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and we'll see you again soon.